My name is Ashley Young, and we are back. I am super excited to be here with two crew teams here at Blueprint. If you want to introduce yourselves, ladies?
What's wrong with you?
They have the giggles. They're sisters. That's how this works. But we'll start right here. What's your name? Kori Oglesby and
What's wrong with you?
Kendall. Okay. So they are just giddy for Christ. But we're going to jump right in. I think she has it memorized. She's just that good. You want to tell the folks what the verse is?
I don't have memorized.
Okay. Here we go.
If you love me, keep my commands.
All right. That's pretty simple, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay. And the first thing I want to talk about today, so that verse packs a lot of punch, right? It seems very short, but when you first hear that verse, what's your first thought?
First thought? Probably obedience.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about obedience. That's a fun word for a young person, right?
Yeah, it's something you hear a lot when you're younger. Be obedient, be kind, listen to what I say. It comes out of a place of love, so oftentimes, because you love somebody, you'll listen to them, you'll be obedient.
Good. I like that. Kori, what's your initial thought?
If you love Jesus, then you'll follow him. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. What does it mean to follow Christ? And just in your own words.
No, like read the Bible, go to church.
Yeah, love others. First, starting with loving God with all of your heart, mind, strength, and soul. Good. Okay, so when you hear the word commandment, I know we kind of touched a little bit on this. You talked about obedient, but when you hear the word commandment, does it scare you a little, or does it like, oh, I'm showered with love from God? Or a little bit of both?
Definitely a little scared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
It's more, como se dice, strict?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Not strict.
Mainly strict? Yeah. But let's talk about the love part though. So sometimes we initially feel restricted, but let's talk about why it may be important to have boundaries.
Boundaries set a standard.
What's that?
Boundaries set a standard.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like boundaries can be like the building blocks of a relationship.
Yeah, like a good foundation. I like that. So the first part of this verse, I'm going to focus on that for just a moment. It says, if you love me. So if you love me, you will keep my commandments. So generally, if someone doesn't love you, they may not what?
Keep your commands.
Exactly. So what does it mean to love God? Let's kind of start there. Again, and this is just in your words, from your life experiences of what you know about Christ and your love for him. What does it mean for you to love him? Because that's an important part of this message.
I would say, to like follow him and like what he does, like like follow him, like love him,
Okay, good. Kendall, what does it mean to love Christ for you?
There's this one saying, I heard Mr. Durwin say it, but I know one part. Something pick up your cross, and then there's the rest of it. I don't know the rest of it.
Follow him. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So to put others first.
Okay.
To love others as you love yourself. To spend time with him. To share his word. Things like that.
Good. So the key here, and what we talk a lot about here at Blueprint, is not this hard hat identity of I've got to love Christ or I've got to love my neighbor. You have to fall in love with him, fall in love with not just the work that he does for us, but who he is, right? So then, if you love me, you will keep my commandments, okay? Now, let's get to the hard part. Do you think it's hard to keep God's commandments?
Yes.
Okay, tell me why.
It's real easy to get caught up in the world.
Sure.
To want to be like the others, to want to do things that probably aren't Christ-like. Yes.
So just keeping it fully 100, as the kids say these days, fully transparent. What would you say in the ninth grade in 2021 is one of the hardest like issues that you deal with being a teenager in terms of keeping God's commandments?
Honestly,
Because there's lots of pressures out there, but I'm just curious to hear if you want to share.
I don't know. I don't think maybe like Christ related, just like basic morals. I find it real easy to get caught up in wanting to be like the next person.
Sure.
And so like if I keep my morals to know that I am good, I am made in the image of Christ, then it's like, okay, this is where I can begin to keep his commandments because I don't get so caught up in others.
Right, good. What about you, Kori? Again, do you think it's hard to keep God's commandments?
Yeah, I think that's like, it's easier to sin than it is to like follow, Jesus.
Sure. So we have to be open to those standards and boundaries, right, to keep us disciplined in Christ? Okay. Now, the second part to this question is, do you think it's hard to keep his commandments if you love him? So it may be hard to keep someone's commandments if you don't really like them, but what happens when you love someone? You don't want to betray them, right? So let's talk about, we've chatted some about what it means to love Christ. Let's talk about what it means to love him and keep his commandments.
Okay. Well, if you love him, it makes it a lot easier to do a lot of things.
Sure.
If you keep the reminder that he is the strongest representation of love we could have, then it's like, okay, hey, I want to follow this good guy.
Good.
Maybe this guy that does love me makes it easier to listen to not get so caught up in others, to know that I am good as I am because he made me good as I am.
Yeah. I like that. The strongest representation of love. That came from a kid, a young person. Yes. What about you, Kori? Just in your own words, like if you love someone, and in this case it's God, it's Jesus Christ, how easy or not so easy is it to keep his commandments?
I mean, if you love Jesus, and I don't really know, but like, yeah.
It's okay, but let me tell you, a lot of kids your age are probably feeling that same way, like question mark, not really sure. I'm just trying to like live my life that is pleasing to God, but I'm still figuring it out, right? So I think your response is very typical for folks your age. So thank you for just being open. I'm going to read one more verse in John 14 because it is so critical. And actually, this past Sunday, Pastor Lucia shared this with us. But it is John 14, verse 21. It says, "Whoever has my commands and keeps them is one who loves me. The one who loves me will be loved by my Father." So listen up, ladies, because I'm going to ask you a little bit about this, okay? So let me start over. "Whoever has my commands and keeps them is the one who loves me. The one who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I too will love them and show myself to them." Okay, so there's a lot of love in there. But let's talk a little bit about that. He says, whoever keeps my commands. So there's a contingency, right? You don't just get it because, you're born. You get it because you love him, because you keep his command. And then he goes on to say, the one who loves me will be loved by my Father. So let's just take a moment. How comforting is that to know that you can be loved by the Father, by Jesus Christ and his Father? What does that mean for you when you grasp the depth of that?
It's like a bear hug.
Yes, like a Jesus bear hug. Yeah. Okay, good. Are you feeling the bear hug love, Kori?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then it says, and I too will love them. And, doesn't stop there. Christ says, I'm going to show myself to them. So just take a moment. What's one way over the last year, and I'm sure since we are surviving a pandemic, how has Christ showed himself to you? Just any specific example to you. How has Christ shown himself to you?
We're still here.
Right.
We survived. We're going through a panoramic. We're still here.
Through a Panera. Right.
Yeah, that's like one of the biggest things. He kept our family intact.
Right.
Shout out to God
Right.
for keeping our family
Yes. Some days I just wake up because I feel like the old people used to say this, like, Lord, I'm just happy to be alive. And I say that like I am happy to be alive. Oh my goodness. So, all right, Kori, how has Christ showed himself to you?
That's a great Kendall, you know? I'm alive, you know, I woke up this morning.
Yes, let's just start there. I woke up this morning. Good. All right, so let's close this conversation out because this has been great, very, very fruitful. How would you have this conversation with your friends, right? Because you see this verse, and I used to always be confused how preachers used to preach off of like one small verse, like Jesus wept, and like do like a 30-minute sermon. You're like, well, how did you get all of that from that, right? But I want you to take us there. Like, so if you were just to explain this verse to your friends, you've had now like a 10-minute conversation on it, so I know you can do it. How would you have this conversation and unpack this for your friends? So again, if you love me, keep my commandments. So I'll start with you, Kori, and then we'll end with you, Kendall. How would you just have a simple conversation with your friends and explain the importance of that?
I mean, I don't really know because I don't know where my friends stand. I mean, like, friends from school, I don't know where they stand with their religion.
Okay.
But, you know, like, friends from church, I would, you know, like, I mean, you're talking, like, explanatory? Like,
Yeah, so if someone were to read a verse like you're in Hello World or sorry, I guess you've graduated from Hello World. My bad. But what would you say to them if this happened to be the verse that you all were focusing on next Sunday? You already kind of have a head start on the context. What might be your contributions to the conversation, to the discussion?
I mean, I guess, like, knowing a little more and, like, having it more set out, you know, like, fully being able to explain, you know, fully being able to, like, articulate what I'm trying to put out there.
Okay, good. Kendall, take us home. What would you say to friends, church or at school, wherever?
A lot of my school friends, low-key religion is a joke to them, if I'm being quite honest. Low-key religion is a joke. So it's more like, how would I explain, if you let me? Some people don't like their moms. Maybe your mom's not the best example. But like somebody you really care about. Because you love them, you'll treat them with respect, you'll be obedient, and
Right.
you'll continue to grow because you love them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ladies, you've just lifted my day. Yay. Thank you so much. We are thankful that you all have listened in and tuned in, and have a great afternoon.